Welcome to Dunroth Manor 2019. This year we are sticking to our roots. Nothing on the exterior until the night before Halloween. Everything will be assembled, everything comes together. So we're definitely deep into our assembly of this year, making all the carpentry modifications that I can before it gets a little bit colder here where I live. Everybody who saw last year's haunt remembers the doorway and how, although it was incredibly genius, how we reused this space from two different directions. It was very hard to keep groups down when coming in because everybody's so darn excited, they just want to come in, and it's hard to keep a group down to just 4 people. So instead of having that problem at the doorway where people were getting stacked up coming down these steps here, I decided we got to modify it. There's going to be a separation here now, a wall, and I'm not going to go too much into detail about how everything's going to go, but here's what I will tell you. We're not going to have the problem at the door. The graveyard is staying. The graveyard is going to be somewhat similar. It's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a 2.0 obviously, but the graveyard is safe. The scene works perfectly. It plays hard. I'm not going to change it much. Also, the grand hallway, it was also a big hit. We're going to keep that. It's going to be a 2.0 as well. Everything's going to be bigger and better, more Hollywood. This is going to be one of the most high-tech, craziest haunts in the entire world. It might not be the biggest, but it's also going to be much bigger than last year. We're going out into the driveway this year, folks. But again, sticking to the roots. So that means we're going to have to prefabricate some modules and have them ready to go and pretty much delivered or hidden or whatever, so that none of the children around can tell that it's going to be protruding out onto the driveway, but it is indeed. I intend to build a facade this year. We want to have an exterior facade on all of it, and then an even more impressive light show this year. So again, I'm saying Hollywood. We're also beefing up the surveillance and my recording capabilities here. I'm actually going to be running 2 security systems now, both in HD, but the Lorex is actually in 4K Ultra 4K. And then also I've got a Swan system here that I'm going to be running. I don't have any of those cameras set up yet. I'm going to be beefing up my air supply this year, but I'm not going to get too into detail with that. So I got this. This was a freebie from my neighbor. Air compressor is going to be running up there this time. It's actually going to be a dual effect like the old school days where you used your air compressor as a quick scare somewhere. So I'm actually going to run that manually throughout the night. And because I'm going to have surveillance everywhere again, I see where everybody is and I can tell when they're getting close to those areas. So when somebody's getting close here is when we're going to charge up the air compressor. And on this wooden platform, it rumbles like crazy. I had to get some single bars here, some single black lighting bars, and I found them on garage sale for $10 for 3 of them. But I need them to modify the graveyard this year because I want to keep this central area fairly open. I don't want it to be as restricted as it was last year. All of my lumber so far this year has been freebie. Light gauge lumber. It all depends what you're doing, right, Hunter? Sometimes you need the heavy ply. Sometimes you need the light stuff. Depends whether you're trying to make a wall that's weight bearing or if you're doing something that's just cosmetics and nobody can possibly mess with it. The backup power I'm just going to run all night long because I've already tested it. And I actually intend to run all of these lights, which are multicolored depending on what I do with them, throughout the haunt. And those are in fact going to be the house lights. Sorry, they're going to be house lights, but it's going to be the backup power as well. So I've already tested it, and I know that this thing will power these lights for no less than 10 to 12 hours. And I need it to 5, 6, or 7. So we're going to be good there. And if the power did in fact ever go out, I'm not even going to notice on those lights because they're always going to be on. And they're bright. And the best thing about that is this thing is constantly charging while the power is on. So even if the power does go out, it's still at as full a charge as it possibly can be, because it's always charging like a backup power supply. And I want to be able to control the haunt factor of my haunt. So on top of completely DJing it and having an exterior soundtrack playing this year, which is what I intend to do, and I'm already working on that, and that's what this amplifier is for. This one's dedicated just for the exterior soundtrack, which is not going to have any thunder and lightning coming to it unless I want it to. So this one's just for the thunder and the lightning. This one's for the exterior soundtrack, and then all the big speakers here are going to be for whichever way I want to go with it. Haunted house. But so on top of the fog, this is also going to have the lightning, and then the jumping spider right there. Look at the attic while we're up here too right now, because there's a whole lot going on up here. And dudes, this thing looks so scary when it's coming out of here in the attic. It looks like the goddamn house is burning down from the street, and I can only test it once. It's that effective. So I think the attic's pretty much done. I just gotta wrap up the hatch so it's ready to go, because I'm gonna have to check on that fog machine right before Halloween starts.